Testing. Okay. Gosh. I didn't know that was unplugged. Okay. Let's make sure everything is working. It's been a really busy day. I hope everyone enjoyed it. It's almost 1 o'clock. Okay, but time flies. So sorry that I'm on so late. It can't be helped. It really can't be helped. You know, a lot going on. It's always breaking news, right? It's always breaking news. Yeah, really, we don't have time to sleep because there's so much going on. There's so much going on in Juarez, and thank God it is. That's what we want. That's what we voted for with President Trump. He is a doer. He is a doer. He's a builder, and um, and he's getting it done. So it's very, very busy, and we have to do our part because, of course, the task is so huge, so immense. You can't just say, President Trump, do this, President Trump, do this. Um, and the deep state is, very active, very active. So, but they have, but the deep state is they're just losing it, right? They're just losing it. They're losing their grip in so many ways, y'all. So many ways. They had it so easy for so many years. They had us hoodwinked for so many years and was laughing behind our backs and filling up their bank accounts and but now they're losing it because there is no foundation. Their foundation is sand, and the sand is washing away, and they're just unsteady, right? They're just very unsteady, and they're very obvious. They're very obvious. Um, you can tell someone that can't stand on their own 2 feet anymore. They have to live by deception. Not that they always lived by deception. It's just that we can see it. The scales have fallen from our eyes, and we can see their deception. And so let's get started. 1,917 days, I believe. I put it up. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on so late because so much is going on. So much. Let me make sure that I'm giving you the right. Yeah, 1,917 days. Um, since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss, and he was forcibly taken to the arms room. Arms room. Um, that's where the evidence has led, and his life was taken. And then he was stolen. His body was stolen from there and dismembered and trafficked to Chihuahua, Mexico. That's right across the border from El Paso. Matter of fact, Juarez and El Paso, I always call them Siamese sister cities because, they're just separated by the border, and when you have law and order and peace, it's a absolutely magnificent place, right? Magnificent place to have those that Tex-Mex, the Tex-Mex, cultures, and of course, both of them are ancient cities, and that's why there's all the tunnels that they have misused now for trafficking. And some of those tunnels are under schools, and they use them for trafficking, and that includes human trafficking. And they traffic anything that's not bolted down, and they'll traffic all kinds of substances. And everybody's kind of got that now. 5 years, the response that we have gotten back is that they totally understand about the trafficking, and they traffic it off of Fort Bliss. They absolutely trafficked weapons ammunition and anything that wasn't bolted down. And they took advantage of our volunteer sons and daughters. They took advantage of them. And not only that, they even tried to compromise them, right? They tried to lead them down an illegal path so that they would have records so that they could carry out their trafficking and all of their uh, criminal schemes with limited amount of whistleblowers. Because if these soldiers, if those that are coming into the El Paso borderland area are quickly compromised also, then they can't become whistleblowers because their witness testimony, their reports are unreliable. Okay, they're unreliable because they have engaged in criminal activity. Like that's why they were bringing these 14-year-old girls to live in the barracks on Fort Bliss for 4 months, 4 months, being pimped out. Um, and that was one the stepdaughter of one of the gate guards. So DES Thomas Kane absolutely knew about what was going on, and they would bring substances, and they just had chaos. They had chaos, very bad leadership on purpose. On purpose, they broke the rules on purpose. They they did not have esprit de corps. My dad kept telling me that, and I was like, okay, what? And now I understand what he was saying, because without esprit de corps, there's no discipline, there's no rules and regulations being followed. They compromised our volunteer sons and daughters so that they would be unreliable sources, that they could not be whistleblowers. And that is deliberate. That is deliberate. And, that's totally antithetical. That's an anathema to the military, right? That is not what the military is about. The military is about um, the Medal of Honor ethos, right? The Medal of Honor ethos, the creeds, and the foundation of our military is built on a Christian foundation. Whether people want to accept that or not, whatever. But it's the truth. It's on a biblical Christian foundation. That's why you have the Good Samaritan, which is the Medal of Honor ethos. You have human dignity. You have a selfless service. Personal courage. These are what the creeds. This is what built a very strong military. And as we've chipped away at it, as it has gotten corrupt, as it has become uh, a infrastructure for criminal leadership, right? Criminal leadership like General John Kelly. He absolutely treated our military bases as his criminal playground, the infrastructure for it, and it's really it's heart wrenching to find that out. But once you know, then we can act. Then we can do something about it. Then we can absolutely understand what President Trump is doing right now, what he's up against right now, because there's a lot of mutiny, because people were enjoying using the bricks and mortar, the infrastructure of the military to conduct their criminal activities. And then, of course, if they used our military installations to do that, did they use our agencies and our institutions? And now we know by Artic Frost investigation that they did do that, and it seems very clear they ran that Artic Frost from the FBI out of San Antonio, which has is connected to Fort Bliss. So, um, did they use that to contain um, uh, exposure of Richard's murder, what they did to him? Did they use it to uh, interfere in the case? Did they use it to tamper in the case? Apparently, all indications show that that's exactly what Arctic frost was for. What Arctic frost was for. Was it only Richard? Of course not. Um, the report is huge. What they were doing was huge, and they were interfering in many cases. And so, but apparently, um, it was absolutely for to contain um, the absolute criminality of this code red, what they did to Richard. Not only the code red, but it's like the whole retaliation that I haven't talked about lately so much, but the retaliation that was ongoing and severe for months and months against him, right? And the Arctic frost operation, absolutely overlays the exact time frame as Richard's murder case. Um, exact time frame. So his whistleblowing and the murder case. So it is, uh, you know, when Aaron, what's his name? Aaron Tapp, Aaron Tapp, Aaron Tapp, the FBI agent that's leading it has oversight or leadership over Fort Bliss. I mean, El Paso FBI field office. Then, of course, um, you have to say Richard's case is really big. The Walmart case is really big. They're intertwined, and they want to control the fallout. They want to control the narrative. They want to control the witnesses, the evidence. They want to control the entire case to move it in the direction that favors their criminal activity. And so, who do they work for? Because they don't work for the United States, even though they are FBI agents. They don't work for the United States. They're working for um, a different entity, a different entity. And in Richard's case, um, which this fits in perfectly like a glove. In Richard's case, there's a common denominator of this Mormon faction that is tied to the cartels, not just any cartel, but the FTO cartels that are operating also, including the criminal trafficking, but the trafficking also of the recycling of bodies. So and I don't even know if it is trafficking to a certain extent, but it's a funeral mortuary operations fraud scam. It's a funeral fraud, mortuary fraud, um, scam to um, profit off of these of organ harvesting, of illegal C-section deliveries of babies, and then to market the babies to the homosexual community in the United States. Um, it, you know, to silence people. Um, it's just you're talking about 500,000 children that are missing, that were trafficked through Fort Bliss, okay? And remember the tactical move storage units, that was absolutely revealed to us. And, I even have my white hat on today with Nadal Baim, the imposter FBI agent. Makes you wonder about that. And of course, the white hat, the Arctic frost, just to let you know that it's that's why Arctic frost was made, for this containment of cases like Richard, where you have a young soldier, a young U.S. soldier that comes to El Paso that is special. He's very special because he resisted the compromising tactics that they had to turn Richard into an unreliable source. He's a totally reliable source, even though you have the operatives like Bob Moore trying to keep it in the news, have an article that makes Richard look unreliable. All of that has been debunked. Richard is, that's why President Trump's letter about Richard is so important, because it restores him in the minds of the public as a reliable source. And this is very important for the cases to come. Um, uh, uh, that will include, I'm sure, his whistleblowing reports. He is a reliable source, and he's haunting the hell out of them. Okay, he is haunting the hell out of them. And here it is, All Saints Day today. Yeah, what a great day to haunt them. I don't like the Halloween haunting, even though my grandchildren had a really good time um, having their fun. But the haunting for against these evildoers, to drive them to know that they haven't succeeded. They just haven't succeeded. So we have some barriers that we have to um, expose still, like this whole visa problem, right? A lot of visas, or it's just strange that Cesar Peniche, who is under investigation in Mexico for siphoning billions of barrels of fuel, and selling them. I mean, this theft is just incredible. That he is hiding in the United States. It's why are we letting him reside in the United States? Who is giving him the visa to do so? Who is, even though it's a breach in the visa because it's a TN visa, but why? Who's giving him that right to do that? He needs to be extradited back to, sent back to Mexico, and face the charges against him. And there's other charges against him too. It's not just about the billion barrels of oil. If that's not bad enough, but he has others. And he also interfered in our son's case, right? He obstructed and he interfered and he tampered with, and all of that in the AG's office in Juarez, Mexico. Um, then you have Rafael Arellano Caron, the owner of the Plenitude Crematorium, where today so much news came out. His manager, because he's the owner, his manager, and I don't know the manager's name by heart, but I did put it in the article. He died in custody. He is dead in custody. While being held in custody, he is the major witness to what happened in that Plenitude Crematorium. And now he has died in custody. Um, the people, the victims' families, are absolutely outraged. Um, And where is the autopsy, right? Where is the autopsy? Where is the investigation? And Maru Campos just seems to be like Veronica Escobar sitting in front of her mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, and not caring at all about her constituents, her people. And they have lost total faith in her. So much so, I mean, well, it's just totally collapsed, right? The people absolutely see now that this is a Sinaloa El Chapitos um, uh, uh, operation going on here, and that she's just part of that, and they don't want any part of that. They want answers. They want their family's remains. We understand that. We want Richard's remains. We are right there with them. We are right there with them in total spirit, and we hope that their family members are haunting like Richard is haunting them. And, they have lost total, well, I don't know if loss, their eyes are absolutely open that this is a cartel narco state government. And they have now demanded a federal assistance, federal investigation, which is, absolutely right. They should absolutely request the federal um, government of Mexico to step in on this, because look at what this is so big. You have Del Carmen, they got arrested. Why isn't Rafael Arellano Caron hiding out in the United States? Why is he doing fine dining with the El Paso County Judge Ricardo Samaniego? Why isn't Samaniego demanding that he go back to Mexico and be held accountable for this crematorium? Why is he being allowed to be in the United States? The same thing with the medical examiner. Why isn't he is absolutely illegal. And there's others, and we'll tell you more. Same thing with Lilani Hart. She needs to be arrested right away because she has immigration issues on top of all her crime, on top of all the crime. This is, a pattern over and over and over again of these vicious crimes that if they're willing to break immigration law, then nothing holds them back. And then you have so many with very violent crimes. So now you have the key witness, the prime witness for Plenitude Crematorium, dead in custody. While he's in custody, he dies. This is an outrage. It's a total outrage. And so, of course, there is this backlash. And of course, my memes that our family put up includes John Kelly's image there as a traitor, and he's a total traitor, and that's confirmed because he became a foreign agent for the Sinaloa cartel faction of El Chapitos under Maru Campos's narco state government. And he has all this knowledge, working, he was the Southcom commander. He was Department of Homeland Security. He has all of these. He was chief of staff for the White House. So, he has all this knowledge, and then he absolutely abandons his oath, his sworn vow to defend the Constitution of the United States. He absolutely abandons, and the thing is he's gotten everything. We give them everything. We give them our respect. We give them good pay, we give them housing, we give them insurance, we give them retirement, we give them everything. You can tell because they all want to live in the United States. And yet he betrayed his vow. That's the one thing we want: loyalty. We want loyalty for everything that we give them. And he betrayed that loyalty, just like Mario Campos has betrayed the loyalty, and it's obvious now. It's totally obvious. And this is why the people are, they're willing to give everything, live in that palace, right? Live in the palace and have a good wage and have a good pension and all of that. You can have a vacation house, whatever, but we want your loyalty to the country and justice. We want justice. And of course, Mario Campos has betrayed the people of Chihuahua, Mexico for that. And and what John Kelly has done is even worse. It's really treason. It is really a treason to the United States. And if you commit treason against the United States, especially in Texas, as Texas goes, so goes the United States. As the United States goes, so goes the world. So it becomes a really, really bad crime, what he did, the betrayal. So this and that should also corroborate why Arctic Frost absolutely um, cared about Richard's case, okay? To interfere, to compromise, to obstruct, to shut it down, shut it down. It was really a miracle. We worked very, very hard to keep Richard's case out of cold case, out of Arctic Frost, um, out of the cold case unit, and they just did their darndest to try to put it in there. And with all of the evidence, and the evidence was so overwhelming that we kept going and going and going, and every day new evidence. And uh so they lost, because we kept going and going and going, because of you, because of all of you. And I want to say thank you so much, but we're not done yet. Do not hang your hat up yet. Put your hat on, put your boots on, put your gloves on. We're still working very hard, because we have gotten very, very far. We're in vicious negotiations for the repatriation of Richard's remains. And you see that in conversations right now, that they're bringing out conversations about the repatriation of veterans' remains. That's not by mistake, y'all. That is not a coincidence. That is absolutely on purpose, to make sure Americans know that it is a duty. It is a duty of any civilized country to fight for the remains of their citizens, of their service members, of those that serve in our military. And so this is the narrative that is absolutely necessary to remind Americans and remind the world that we are going to do this. And you're hearing it everywhere right now. If you're watching, um, alternative news channels, you're hearing it everywhere, that they are absolutely focused on bringing home um, remains, and remains of soldiers, of service members. So we are in these vicious negotiations, and to make sure that we are fight ready, they're reminding us of that's what we have to be. We have to be fight ready. And what do I mean by that? For the negotiations and for the exposing of these criminals that put barriers up in getting those remains sent back home. And so, and there are some that just don't want us to have Richard's remains or, other soldiers' remains. So they do put those barriers up, and that's something that we have to, recognize is going to happen, and we are doing our darndest to expose uh to eliminate those barriers, right? To expose what's going on so that those barriers are weak and can't stand, and so that we can get our son's remains home. I hope that makes sense to everybody, because there is a deep state, okay? There is a deep state. And in Richard's case, that deep state is a Mormon faction cartel tied entity, criminal trafficking network, and it is tied to Soros, tied to even has Chinese elements to it. Um, of course, you remember what happened in California. They arrested the Chinese illegal that was here, let their visa run out, and they stayed here, and they were shipping things to North Korea out of El Paso. So this is all has these elements to it, and we're very transparent to everybody to let you know um, what we're doing behind the scenes, to um, bring down these barriers that are keeping our son from coming home. So that is huge news today. This whole article, and I know I did it pretty quick, like in 30 minutes, but it's been a real day to understand the whole Arctic frost thing, right? Because really the news is kind of presenting it as something where they're spying on um, the officials in Washington, D.C. But when you look into it more closely, it's much more than that. So, uh, and coming out of San Antonio, y'all, coming out of San Antonio, Aaron Tapp, um, having leadership over Fort Bliss, FBI with Connell Winton there, and and Nieto there, and Toros there, George Toros, who, these connections that we've laid out. If you don't know the whole George Toros, remember with Texas Tech, with his wife, um, in this whole web, this whole web. And then, of course, you have Nieto, Eddie Nieto Jr., whose wife is in intelligence right there on Fort Bliss. And then you have Connell Winton, and he is the huge Mormon faction connection that is very connected to Chihuahua, Mexico, and uh, big family over there, okay? Like the Labaron family, right? Big family, very powerful family over there. Um, e- e- and of course, his wife was responding on J6 in a way that wasn't very patriotic, I would say, not patriotic at all, not defending the Constitution, not having a knowledge of the Constitution, and that's all coming out to the whole J6 thing. So, when you put all the pieces together, you can see that their loyalties are with foreign and domestic enemies of the United States, of the Constitution. And anybody like, in a very good example is General John Kelly. Anyone that has been given everything that he has been given, I mean, Saus und sorry. It is, it chokes you up. But he has been given everything, Saus und Braus, right? What my Oma would say. Everything, champagne, houses, everything. And to betray his vow, his oath, to defend the Constitution from foreign and domestic enemies and to join them as a foreign agent, as a security advisor for Maru Campos, that is a total narco government. And you see it very clear right now. And to know that the Pan Party, which she's part of, is a Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa cartel, and is totally connected to Plenitude Crematorium, totally connected to this she devil. For General John Kelly to do something like that is just well, textbook treason. Textbook treason. And I think that is a really good example. And he also interfered in our son's. He was a major player in interfering with our son's case, and of course then connected to this whole Arctic frost thing. So operation operation. They had an op ord for that, right? They had an op ord for that. They had a mission for that. Yeah, of course they did. So thank you so much, everybody. And all of this is coming out because of you, because of all of you paying attention, sharing, liking. And that is really, really important. It's kind of like that the little fish that's getting eaten up by the sharks, but then all the little fish get together and they form one big fish, and then the shark just has no chance at all. And so that's why together we are uh, just we're winning. We're winning. Together we're winning. And that's why they always try to divide us, because together we're winning. And thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow. God willing.